What's up, y'all? We're going to do another tips and tricks video, and this one's on rim cylinders. Now, I did cover this in a video, not specifically, but it was in a video putting on a D-Tex. Rim cylinders, in case you were not familiar with that term, is basically a keyed cylinder, obviously, and a straight bar that comes off the back of it. A lot of people confuse deadbolt single cylinder parts that look like this as rim cylinders, but those are actually deadbolt cylinders. With rim cylinders, they are always held on the inside with two screws and a plate just like this. There's also usually a little cover guard. You see this guard around it, and the two screws that go through the plate, right? So the problem you get, the calls that you get about these, or if you're rekeying and you notice this, is they get loose. I have this mounted up on a wood door. It's way more common to see this problem on a metal door. However, the theory is the same. What happens is, see how the cylinder is just allowed to spin like that, and that's actually still pretty tight. But as you use it, especially on doors that utilize a horizontal style or any type of panic device trim, and on a metal door with extreme heat and extreme cold, the door will kind of compress and expand a little bit at a time, which causes those screws to get loose over time, especially as you use it, especially when the key is used to retract the latch directly, which it's not on this one. It can actually be a security concern, because if it gets too loose on some panic devices or even on some rim devices, same kind of cylinder is used on these little rim dead latches or Jimmy proof locks. It can be a security concern because on some of them, if it gets loose enough, you can actually just turn the key, turn a blank, stick a screwdriver in there and turn it, and it'll retract the latch. So it is a security concern. I'm going to go ahead and take off this, and we're going to look at how it's attached on the inside. And for those of you, this is gonna tickle a few of you. I'm going to go ahead and do this. Come on out of there. All right, so what we see now is that plate, right, that is on the inside, and it has loosened up. Again, wood door here, so it's not as problematic, but on a metal door, it's slippy. It gets very, very slippy. So what you can do to fix this problem, and I'll first show you that these plates do come a number of ways. There's almost always a standard footprint right there, but if you're using Sargent locks, they kind of have their own little spacing. But if you look at one of these plates that we have here, you can see exactly where we're going with this. This is actually a plate designed to do what I'm going to do to this plate. Unfortunately, some locks, such as the LSDA brand and Ilco, they just come with these plain plates with nothing on them. So unless you have a steady supply of a plate that looks like that, some of them actually come with a tab on the bottom. Sometimes drilled, sometimes not drilled. This one has a bigger flange across the bottom. This one is a not drilled one. And even if we flip through here, there's actually even yet another style. So a whole bunch of different styles of plates. And I highly encourage you to, whenever you run across different plates with tabs and stuff like that, to keep them, because sometimes the hole's not great there. But what I want to show you here is what you do is you grab a flathead screwdriver. All I've got is this right here. I'm going to go ahead and straighten this up. Number A1, when you're putting this back on the door, you're going to want to use a blue Loctite, of course. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go ahead and tighten it down without the Loctite. Now, you will see one issue here, and that is there's no wood behind this upper lip. So if I had to use this plate, I would just grab a, let's say, 1/8 inch bit. That'll work. Now, if you're using if this is on a metal door, obviously you're going to have to cut through the metal of the plate and the door. But we want to make sure this is center, because once we start drilling in that, it needs to be perfectly straight up and down, because it's not one of those things that you can easily correct. Once it's done, it's done. So if you put it on there crooked, it's going to be crooked. So you want to make sure that it is straight up and down, just like this. Let's go ahead and, I probably shouldn't have tightened those screws down without checking this, huh? Okay, straight up and down, just like that. Make sure it's exactly where it needs to be. Then we're going to tighten our screws back down. Don't put a whole lot of torque. Remember, these are breakaway screws, and they will break away. And you don't want that to happen at all. All right, we got our 1/8" bit chucked up. For those of you who insist on doing this, you can do, hold on, let me find it. Well, I can't find it, but you know, the center punch, counter punch, whatever you want to call that thing. I don't use them. I never can find them when I need them. So what we do is we come in here. That's got a good little section of wood. We're gonna go just like this. These are mild steel, so no big deal. This chuck's getting slippy on this drill. There we go, just like that. And then we'll come over here. Let's say, let's go up here. There we go. Now we got those drilled. Simply gonna find a couple of little screws. Doesn't really matter what you use. I'm gonna use these little flathead guys so that it sits flush. On almost all of these, there is gonna be room, boop, just like that, to do this. They always leave a little hollowed out spot on the inside of whatever we're doing this to. So it's got a recess. That's for a reason. Typically, let's see if this will fit on there. Kind of hard to do. Yep. Look at that. See, it's flush all the way around. It's not pressing out. Typically, you have plenty of room to do that, because also almost all of them have that center lip index, so that you'll have room to do something like that with. Now, again, if you were doing this on a metal door, instead of using wood screws, you would just go grab your handy pop rivet, wherever it may be. Where did I put it? It's over here. And that gives you a great use for 1/8" pop rivets. 1/8" by, like here, I would probably use these guys. These are either 1/8" or they may be 5/32. Either one. It doesn't really need to be a super strong rivet. You could use steel. Steel ones are available. I'd use steel if I were you, instead of the aluminum. In the rivet world, you would use aluminum pretty often on having to put in strike where the screws are stripped out on a strike. But anyway, what we have now is, even if this decides to get loose through active, whatever, even if the cylinder works its way loose, what'll happen is it'll actually, may be wobbly, but it will stay still. So there we go. That's how you fix a rim cylinder. I highly advise this on doors that use a setup like that, especially metal doors. Whenever you're rekeying it, you can tell them, hey, have you ever, in fact, you may, when you get called, you can actually point out, hey, that cylinder's loose. I have a way to fix that. $25 to throw a couple of rivets in the door and add it to your bottom line. So there we go. That's a good way to fix rim cylinders, to keep it steady. Even if it gets loose, it won't be a security concern, obviously, until it totally, follow out the door, which is probably when you'll get the phone call. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you have any questions or comments, or if you have any ideas on top of that, just, you know, post them in the comments section. Everybody has their own tips and tricks, and this is just one of mine. And you know, these guys with the holes already drilled in them are, you know, they're far and few between. And most common ones that you'll have will have just what we saw there. Obviously, if we have bigger tabs and stuff, there's more surface area, especially if the hole's not drilled quite right. You need it to be in that plate you have. You would definitely need to go with the bigger plate, and you can even pre-drill the holes, you know, in your spare time. Anyway, thanks again for watching. Catch you next video. Did I mention put blue Loctite on the screws before you tighten it back down? You should know that. That should be a given. Blue Loctite on the screws. Anyway.